Nobody talks about this one. Not the dealer, not the manufacturer, not the oil change shop. And the reason none of them talk about it is the same reason it's so effective. Nobody profits from you doing it. 2 minutes. Once every few weeks, no tools required. That's the entire habit. And it's the single biggest predictor of whether your engine reaches 200,000 miles cleanly or gets pulled at 130,000, with a repair estimate that starts at $4.00. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this works, why your car won't warn you when it matters most, and why the drivers who keep engines the longest aren't doing anything complicated. They're just paying attention to one thing everyone else ignores. Number 1. The lie that kills engines quietly. Here's what most drivers believe. If something is wrong with my engine, a warning light will come on. That belief is expensive. Warning lights are engineered to prevent immediate catastrophic failure. They are not engineered to protect long-term engine health. By the time your oil pressure warning illuminates, pressure has already dropped to a dangerous level. Damage isn't about to start. It already has. The wear that kills engines early doesn't announce itself. No noise, no vibration, no light on the dash. Just heat building in places it shouldn't, oil film thinning in places it needs to be thick, and metal surfaces accumulating damage that's invisible until a mechanic pulls the engine apart and shows you what years of unnoticed conditions actually look like. Modern engines make this worse, not better. Tighter tolerances mean less margin for error. Higher operating pressures mean greater sensitivity to lubrication gaps. A problem that might have been survivable in a 1990s engine quietly causes permanent damage in a current one. The dashboard was never designed to catch this. It was designed to stop you from destroying an engine in a single drive. Everything in between, the slow, gradual wear that determines whether you hit 300,000 miles or 130,000, is entirely invisible to every sensor in the vehicle. Number 2. What mechanics actually do there. There's a consistent gap between what experienced mechanics advise customers to do and what they actually do on their own vehicles. They don't just change oil on schedule. They check it regularly between changes. They look at the level. They look at the color. They notice when something has shifted, when the oil is darker than it should be at this point in the interval, when the level has dropped more than expected, when the consistency feels different on the dipstick. None of that is on a service schedule. None of it generates a code. It's pure observation, done consistently, over time. The reason it matters comes down to how oil actually fails. Oil doesn't go from fine to destroyed on a calendar. It degrades based on conditions, heat cycles, trip length, climate, driving pattern. Two vehicles with identical mileage and identical service records can have dramatically different oil conditions at any given moment, depending on how and where they're driven. Short trips are particularly destructive. During a short drive, oil doesn't fully reach operating temperature. Moisture that enters the crankcase during combustion doesn't evaporate. Fuel dilution from cold starts accumulates. By the time you've driven 10 short trips, the oil in that engine may be significantly more degraded than its age on paper suggests. The mechanic who checks their own oil every 2 to 3 weeks catches that. The driver who waits for the service interval doesn't. Number 3. Why low oil is more dangerous than dirty oil. Oil brand arguments dominate car forums. Synthetic versus conventional. This brand versus that one. Mechanics who work on long mileage engines focus on something that generates far less debate. Was the engine ever run low? Modern engines consume oil. This is not a defect, it's an engineering reality, especially in high-compression direct injection engines, especially at higher mileage, especially in hot conditions. The consumption is often small enough that it falls between oil changes without triggering any alarm. Half a quart low sounds trivial. Here's what it actually means inside the engine. The oil that remains has to do the same job with less volume. It circulates more frequently. It absorbs more heat per cycle. Its temperature rises. As temperature rises, viscosity drops. As viscosity drops, the film separating metal surfaces gets thinner. Thinner film means more metal contact. More metal contact means accelerated wear. None of that produces a warning light. All of it shows up later in a teardown inspection. Polished bearing surfaces, discolored cam lobes, heat-damaged seals. The signature of an engine that was running low for an extended period without anyone noticing. The fix is not complicated. It's checking the level and topping off before it drops far enough to matter. Number 4. The 60-second process. This is the entire thing. No special tools. No mechanical knowledge required. Park on level ground and let the engine sit for at least 2 minutes after shutting it off. Pull the dipstick, wipe it clean with a rag, reinsert it fully, pull it again, and read the level. You're looking for oil sitting between the minimum and maximum marks. Closer to maximum is better. While the dipstick is in your hand, look at the oil itself. It should be amber to dark brown and coat the dipstick in an even film. Gritty texture, a fuel smell, or a milky appearance are all indicators that something needs attention before the next scheduled service. That's it. 2 minutes of observation tells you more about what's actually happening inside your engine than any dashboard warning system will, until the damage is already done. The check doesn't replace oil changes. It multiplies their effectiveness. An oil change that happens on schedule while the oil has been critically low for the past 3 weeks hasn't protected the engine. It's just reset the clock on damage that already occurred. Number 5. The components that benefit beyond the engine. The downstream effect extends well past the engine block. Timing chains run in oil. When level or quality drops, chain lubrication suffers, and timing chain replacement runs several $1,000s on most modern engines. Cam phasers are oil pressure dependent and malfunction first when oil quality falls. Turbo bearings require constant clean oil supply. Early turbo failures almost always show heat damage in the bearing journal from oil that was too low or too degraded at some point. Catalytic converters last longer when combustion stays clean, which only happens when oil isn't burning. One habit affects all of these, not because it's technical, but because it forces regular awareness of a system that fails silently. Number 6. How often without overdoing it? You don't need to check oil daily. You don't need to become anxious about it. The rule that works for long-term owners is straightforward. Once every 2 to 3 weeks under normal conditions, and always before any drive over 2 hours. That frequency is enough to catch rising oil consumption before it becomes a problem. Identify a developing leak before it becomes significant, and notice when oil is degrading faster than expected, which happens in hot weather, stop-and-go traffic, and vehicles that primarily make short trips. Consistency matters more than precision. An owner who checks oil every 2 weeks without fail will catch everything that matters. An owner who checks it randomly, only when reminded, will miss the gradual trends that only show up over time. Number 7. Why this never gets marketed. No one profits from you pulling a dipstick. Manufacturers sell vehicles. Dealers sell service. Shops sell the repairs that result from unnoticed problems. A habit that catches issues before they become repairs doesn't fit anyone's business model, so it never gets mentioned. The drivers who keep engines the longest aren't using exotic products or following elaborate routines. They check the oil, top it off when it drops, and notice when something looks different. That's the entire system. Engines don't fail randomly, they fail predictably. In the owners who weren't watching, at the mileage where small unnoticed conditions finally accumulate enough damage to become obvious. 2 minutes every couple of weeks. That's what separates the driver whose engine is still running cleanly at 250,000 miles from the one writing a check for a replacement at 130,000. When was the last time you checked yours? Drop your mileage and how long you plan to keep the car in the comments. If you found this useful, subscribe. The next video covers something your shop is almost certainly not telling you about the service they're selling you. Click it.